Imagine being stranded in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The scorching sun burns your skin, salt water stings your lips, and the thirst gnaws at your throat. No food, no water, and no hope. Now, imagine the only way to survive is to eat the flesh of your own crewmates. This is the true story of the Essex, a tragedy so horrifying it inspired Moby-Dick. But the nightmare didn't start with starvation. It started with something no sailor had ever seen before: a whale that fought back. Whaling was the lifeblood of Nantucket, a prosperous island whose economy revolved around the lucrative trade of whale oil, often referred to as liquid gold, due to its high demand for lighting lamps, lubricating machinery, and even being used in cosmetics and soap production. As whale populations dwindled from relentless hunting, voyagers had to travel farther into the ocean, increasing both the risks and desperation of whalers. The oil from whales lit the world, and young men risked everything for it. The Essex, a 238-ton whaler, set sail on August 12, 1819. Built in 1799, it was considered small for a whaling ship of its time, measuring just 88 feet in length. Despite its size, it had successfully completed several voyages before its fateful journey. The ship was well equipped for whaling, carrying smaller whale boats for hunting, along with large storage barrels for oil extraction. Under the command of Captain George Pollard Jr., his first mate, Owen Chase, was a seasoned whaler, ambitious and fearless. The crew of 20 men expected to be gone for 2.5 years, hunting the mighty sperm whale. But they had no idea. The ocean had other plans. Their journey took them around Cape Horn and into the vast Pacific. Whales were becoming scarce due to overhunting, forcing them farther and farther into open water, making whalers take greater risks for dwindling rewards. But then, they found the hunting grounds they'd been looking for. And that's when the nightmare began. On November 20th, 1820, the crew had harpooned several whales in the deep waters of the South Pacific, when suddenly, a massive sperm whale, 85 feet long and weighing an estimated 80 tons, emerged from the depths. Sperm whales, known for their intelligence and complex social behaviors, use echolocation to navigate the deep and communicate in intricate ways. While the exact cause of the whale's aggression remains unknown, some historians note that sperm whales, known for their intelligence and communication skills, have been observed reacting defensively when threatened. But this was no ordinary whale. It was watching them, and then it attacked. In a move no whaler had ever seen before, the whale rammed the Essex twice. The second blow was fatal. The ship lurched forward, water rushing in. The men barely had time to grab supplies before the Essex sank beneath the waves. But the worst was yet to come. The 20-man crew found themselves stranded thousands of miles from land, with only a few days' worth of hardtack, a simple, long-lasting biscuit made of flour and water that sailors relied on for sustenance, a limited supply of fresh water, and no hope of resupply. As their rations dwindled, their bodies weakened, and desperation set in. They had two choices: sail west to the Marquesas Islands, a remote group of volcanic islands in the Pacific Ocean known for their rugged terrain and isolation, rumored to be inhabited by cannibals, or sail east, nearly 4,000 miles to South America. Fear won. They chose east, much like the infamous decision of the Donner Party decades later, when stranded pioneers had to weigh the risks of starvation against the unknown dangers of their environment. It was a mistake that would cost lives. Days turned into weeks. Supplies ran out. The sun burned their skin, and thirst drove them to drink seawater, a death sentence, as drinking it only accelerates dehydration due to its high salt content. One by one, they began to die. And then, the unthinkable happened. When starvation set in, the men faced a choice more terrifying than the whale itself. They ate the bodies of their dead. At first, They waited for death to take its course. But as desperation grew, they made a decision even darker. They began drawing lots, a grim maritime tradition used in extreme desperation. It was a harrowing acknowledgement that survival might depend on sacrificing one for the many, a practice seen in previous shipwrecks and desperate survival scenarios, or how shipwrecked sailors throughout history decided who among them would be sacrificed for survival. The air was thick with silence, every man holding his breath. When the final lot was drawn, it fell to Owen Coffin, young, barely more than a boy. His face paled, but he met their gazes with a quiet resolve. Some of the crew wept, others turned away, unable to watch as the grim fate unfolded. Even Pollard, his own cousin, was powerless to intervene. Owen Coffin, Captain Pollard's own cousin, was sacrificed and eaten. Even Pollard, broken and defeated, did nothing to stop it. When they were finally rescued, only 8 of the 20 men remained. Their hollow eyes told of horrors no man should witness. The survivors returned home, but they were never the same. Many suffered from what we would now recognize as PTSD, haunted by nightmares and psychological scars that lasted a lifetime. Their ordeal was widely discussed, leading to public fascination with survival at sea and influencing maritime safety regulations. This tragedy, along with others, led to significant improvements in maritime safety, including the standardization of lifeboat provisions, better emergency preparedness, and survival protocols that became critical in future voyages. Captain Pollard was pitied, but never trusted again. He attempted to rebuild his career by captaining another whaling ship, the Two Brothers, but in a cruel twist of fate, it too sank in 1823 near the Hawaiian Islands, cementing his reputation as cursed. He lived out the rest of his life in obscurity as a night watchman in Nantucket, haunted by the ghosts of his past. Owen Chase wrote a book about their ordeal, but the horrors never left him. He suffered from nightmares for the rest of his life. And Herman Melville? Years later, he met Owen Chase's son, read his father's account, and found inspiration for what would become one of the greatest novels ever written, Moby-Dick. The Essex was more than just a shipwreck. It was a battle between man and nature, a moment where the line between fate and free will blurred, a theme often explored in literature and philosophy, questioning whether events are predestined or shaped by personal choices. It echoed earlier maritime tragedies and foreshadowed future tales of survival cannibalism, such as the harrowing ordeal of the Greely expedition in 1881. Did the men's relentless pursuit of whales bring about their own destruction, or was the attack a random and unforeseeable act of nature? The answer remains a mystery, leaving historians and sailors alike to ponder its implications. The answer may never be known, but for the survivors, the question haunted them for the rest of their lives. But here's the question. Was this whale attacking in self-defense, or was it revenge? The story of the Essex is one of survival, horror, and the thin line between hunter and hunted. But if you think this was the last time nature fought back against humanity, you might want to stick around for our next video, because history is filled with creatures that refuse to go quietly.